morning. Today we have with us the Assistant Secretary for the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Bureau, Assistant Secretary William Brownfield. Thank you for taking the time with this interview with us today.
Thanks very much for having me.
To start things off, I'd just like to know for our viewers, what kind of work is the INL doing here in Pakistan?
Sure. May I tell you, in fact, I thank you for the question, because INL has in fact been working in and with Pakistan for more than 30 years, since the early 1980s. Our responsibilities range from drugs and general organized crime to law enforcement and broader rule of law, courts, prosecutors, correction systems, and so forth. I'm proud, may I tell you and all of your listeners, I am proud of our 32 years of cooperation. It has involved training for more than 17,000 Pakistani police officers. It has involved the construction of more than 200 police and border stations, the building of more than 360 kilometers of highways and roads, 1,300 police vehicles. In other words, I believe there is a great deal that both Pakistan and the United States should be proud of in terms of our cooperation on law enforcement and policing. I'm here in Lahore today to discuss with the provincial government just what sort of additional cooperation we can do in the future, and I'm very hopeful.
It sounds fabulous, the kind of work the INL is doing in terms of training and infrastructure development and sort of revamping or reforming the justice system for the drug trade that goes on. One area that I'm interested in understanding is the gender program of the INL. There's a lot of women empowerment that the U.S. is focusing on via the INL. Could you tap in on that, on the women empowerment program through the INL?
Sure. In fact, yesterday, while in Islamabad, I participated in the opening of a conference that's actually led by the United Nations, their UN Women program, that dealt with just specifically this issue, engaging women more in law enforcement and rule of law issues. I'm a great supporter of that, and may I tell you, it is not just because it is good for women, although I do have a mother, I have sisters, and for 31 years I have had a wife, and obviously I feel that is a laudable and noble purpose in and of itself. But quite frankly, the truth of the matter is women in certain issues make superb police officers, better than men. For example, domestic violence and dispute cases, women police tend to be far more effective than men. Or even something as unusual as crowd control and anti-riot, the truth is that a line of women police officers is far less likely to provoke or generate violence by protesters or rioters than a police line of male police officers. I feel very strongly about this, and I do believe that Pakistan is ahead of virtually every other nation in the region in terms of realizing as well the importance of women in policing.
You talk about Pakistan being at the forefront. One question I have is that 90% or 85%, some numbers place it as the world's heroin stems from Afghanistan or can find roots in the opium production in Afghanistan, and then Pakistan's another transit country definitely for the drug trade. How serious do you think the Pakistan government is in eradicating or combating not only the drug trade, but even narco-terrorism as well?
Yep, it is a very serious issue, and may I tell you, it's my belief that the government of Pakistan is taking it very seriously. You've given the arithmetic. By our estimates, 80 to 85% of all the world's heroin is produced in Afghanistan. Practically all of it is then exported to other markets. Our calculation is roughly 1/4 goes north through the Central Asian republics, roughly 1/4 goes west through Iran, and perhaps as much as 40% comes south through Pakistan to Pakistani seaports and then for export to other markets. And the danger for Pakistan is that in the 21st century, drug trafficking organizations do not pay their networks in cash, they pay them in product. They leave behind kilos of heroin as payment for services, and that eventually produces demand. Now, is there terrorism involved as well? You bet there is. It is our belief, that is to say the belief of the United States government, that one of the largest drug trafficking organizations in the world is the Afghan Taliban, which is also listed both on the United Nations, European Union, and U.S. List as a foreign terrorist organization. So there is a great deal of overlap.
I mean, you talk about Pakistan's commitment, but recently held there was an international mood in Kabul where there was the Iran, Russia, Tajikistan, Afghanistan officials were there to discuss it. I think it was the 7th meeting of the Central Asian Counter-Narcotic Quintet Conference. But Pakistan was conspicuously absent from that meeting, though. Why is there this disconnect between, or it's felt that Pakistan may not be combating the drug trade as much as it should, considering that it's a neighboring country with Afghanistan and it's such a transit country as well?
Yep. I mean, I'll leave the history to you and your listeners in terms of what has happened over the last 100 or 200 years that has generated whatever the national concerns are of one nation with the next. I will say to you that after my visit to Pakistan, I will then fly up into Central Asia, where I will be discussing with several of the Central Asian republics' governments just exactly this issue. How can we take a more regional approach to the export and the transit of Afghan heroin from Afghanistan to markets through the region? It is an issue on which there should be no difference of view and difference of opinion. There is no government in the world, including Afghanistan, by the way, which actually supports the cultivation of opium poppy and the production of heroin. And it should be possible for reasonable men and women in responsible governments to find ways to cooperate. I'm working the issue. We will put resources to the issue. It is in Pakistan's interest as much as the interest of us and the other nations of the region to work together on this.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and we do hope that the issue of drug trafficking and narcoterrorism can subside under your watch and hopefully be completely eradicated in the next couple of years.
No one hopes that more than me. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.